So, when I heard Master P kind of giving his critique of Tyler and his approach versus Tyler's approach, I don't know all the details of exactly how they all do business, and I have a lot of respect for both of these guys. I think Master P is brilliant. I love the fact that he cares about his community, where he comes from, etc. But I will only sort of point out the pros and the cons as sort of a learning tool for those of you who want to understand ownership, and also kind of realize, like, sort of figure out the difference between, an owner versus a sellout, right? It's not a on-off switch. It's not like either you're a boss or you are just a sellout, a little wimpy employee. It's like a continuum. It's a continuum where at this end you own it all, at that end you own nothing. A lot of people are somewhere in between, like Ice Cube and Tyler Perry is somewhere in between, where they have partnerships. And one of the things that I've mentioned to you guys in the Black Business School is, and this was important to understand, because everybody thought that I was telling all black people that you have to own a business and you got to run that business. You got to be an entrepreneur. You must be an owner of everything. And I want to clarify that by saying that owning a business and being a partner in a business or investing in a business, can take a lot of different forms. There may be situations where you invest half the money, somebody else invests half the money, or you put up the money, somebody else runs the actual company, right? So you can be an owner of a business without necessarily having to run it every day. And that's something for you to think about too, because a lot of franchises require that the owner actually is the operator. Like Chick-fil-A, their stores are the most profitable stores of any other franchise. They make $4 million per store, but they require something that is more valuable than your money, which is your time, right? If you're worth millions of dollars, you can't just drop a bunch of money on it and let somebody else run it. And while you go on vacation, you got to spend your time in that store. So it's almost like a family member, like your child. Like, you can't just give your child a bunch of money, and think that that's going to be okay. You have to give them your time. Time is harder to get than money for a lot of people, especially for you guys, because you're going to be bosses. Your children will be millionaires, etc. And so anyway, when I look at so going back to the Tyler Perry versus Master P model, I would almost dare to say that both of them could really learn a lot from each other, and I think that they do. I think for Master P, I'll probably say something like, okay, I respect the fact that you want to own it all, and I think that's good. It seems, at least that's what I'm getting. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Master P is always welcome to come into this conversation too. He can come. I'd love to have him come visit the Black Business School and talk about his business model. So if you know him, don't think that this is any sort of challenge to him. It's more like saying, look, the door's open, brother. If you want to come in and talk about what you're doing, I'd love to learn more about it. But I would probably say, look, ownership is important, but sometimes a little ownership has to be relinquished to get access to more resources. Right. So if you have a partner that can make sure that your movie gets distributed out to the world, and it's the right partner and the terms make sense, then that partnership is a good partnership. Right. So if you have to have a Lionsgate or somebody distribute your stuff and they say, look, we want to own a percentage of it, I don't think that necessarily means that you've completely sold out. Also, I would think about capitalization. Right. Depending on the types of movies that you want to make. It's a lot easier if you're talking about Hollywood. They'll put 10, 20 million, 30 million, 50 million into a movie, and it doesn't shake Hollywood too much. Like, Hollywood doesn't, Hollywood doesn't care, about losing $50 million, but Master P probably cares about losing $50 million, right? So if he had to spend $50 million to make one movie, I would probably recommend to him, don't do that. That's what in finance, we refer to that as risk sharing. Risk sharing is where, if you have something where you're putting a big chunk of your wealth into something, and it's one project and it's sort of a hit or miss thing, and you almost feel like you're rolling the dice, then you probably shouldn't make that investment. You shouldn't be gambling with your money. You gamble with the bank's money. You gamble with money where everybody's sharing the risk, but don't gamble with your wealth. Because one of the rules of capital is that capital must be preserved. And so diversification is one of the keys to preserving and protecting your capital. So I'd probably tell Master P, look, don't put 50 million into one movie. Put 5 million a piece into 10 movies, and then let the other 45 million be financed by a series of investors. Do equity crowdfunding, look into that. Do the Jay Morrison model, or go and partner with a Lionsgate if you're comfortable with that, if the terms are right, or go to a bank and see if the bank gives you some some extra money. Because the thing about it is that I don't really know. I feel like Master P's work is solid, but I feel like there could be more added in there, right? I don't think that I don't get the impression that people feel that his work is at the top of the pile in terms of film, in terms of distribution, in terms of just the strength of the project. So that might mean bringing in other partners. For example, if you have a bit more funding, you can get the absolute best writers you can get, right? Whereas when the budget's short, you have to kind of skip a little bit, or you have to fire people who might be really talented, and things like